Hey guys, Gizmoddict here, and it's been 3 days since I'm using the OnePlus Nord as my primary device. While a lot of people like to do a long-term review after using the phone for 4 days, I'm just gonna do a mini review of the OnePlus Nord. Actually, a couple of days back, I asked you guys about your questions about the OnePlus Nord on Twitter and on the community tab, and a lot of you guys had a lot of questions. So this is sort of a mini review slash FAQ video about the OnePlus Nord. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So the first thing that I noticed with the OnePlus Nord was its form factor. So OnePlus hasn't put a really big display here. You get a 6.44 inch display, and the form factor of this phone is something that I really liked. So if you're someone who likes compact phones, I think you will appreciate the OnePlus Nord because it's not really big, it's not really small either, and you can easily use it with one hand. So I really like the form factor of this phone. It's not bulky like the Poco X2 or the Realme X3 or something like that. It's not very heavy. The screen size is perfect, and I really liked it. If you talk about the build quality, this phone has got a plastic frame on the sides and you've got a glass back. I personally don't have any problems with the build quality. The glass back feels premium, especially if you see this color, which is the teal blue. It looks really beautiful. Anyone who has seen this phone with me has asked me about it. So this is an eye catcher and I really love this shade. So the build quality is good on this phone. It feels premium. It doesn't feel fragile or anything like that. And while it might have gotten broken in some bend tests in your normal usage, I don't think you're gonna notice any problems. If you compare it to any other phone with a metal frame, definitely those will feel premium, but that doesn't mean that the OnePlus Nord will feel cheap. I've got no complaints with the build quality on this phone, and like I said, I really like the form factor. OnePlus has retained all of the OnePlus things on the OnePlus Nord, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It is a good thing in the fact that you get this alert slider, which is my favorite feature, and I wish more manufacturers somehow integrate it in their phone. The alert slider is there, and that is the good OnePlus part, and the bad OnePlus part is that you don't get a headphone jack on this phone. I don't know why OnePlus did it. I mean, how much battery you're gonna fit by saving space for one headphone jack? But this is how the trend is. Even the Realme X3 series did not get a headphone jack, so you have to learn to live with it. This one also gets a mono speaker, no stereo speaker setup here like other OnePlus devices, and the quality is okay. It's not the best, but then all the phone in this price segment except for the Realme X2 Pro get a mono speaker and the quality is decent. You get the volume rockers on the left hand side. On the bottom you've got the USB Type-C port, which also supports OnePlus's Warp Charge, so that's great. This phone does not get a micro SD card slot, so that is something you need to consider when you're figuring out which storage variant you're buying. So now let's move on to the next thing, which is the display, and this is where majority of the people have raised their concerns on Twitter, on YouTube, and a lot of you guys had doubts about the display issues. So yesterday I made a thread on Twitter where I was comparing the AMOLED displays across the board with different devices from Samsung, Xiaomi, OnePlus, Realme. And as you can see, almost every phone has some sort of pink or green tint with the grey colored background that we see in Google Chrome. If you put a pitch black background on all of these phones, they all are fine, no tinting. But for a certain shade of grey that you see in Google Chrome, you will see a pinkish or a greenish tint on all of the phones. Be it Samsung S20, S20 Ultra, S10 Lite, Xiaomi Mi 10, Redmi K20 Pro, Realme X50 Pro, Realme X2 Pro, OnePlus Nord, you see tinting on all of these phones, and even the banding that you see around the notch, that was also present on the Realme X2 Pro as well as the Realme X50 Pro. These phones have been out since a long time, and did you notice anyone complaining about them? You didn't, right? So basically that's the thing, there is no such issue. I've even tested it on Asus phones and you get some sort of pinkish tint on minimum brightness. It's a characteristic of an AMOLED display. It's not a fault or an issue that people bring it out to be. And everything that you see on camera, it's just exaggerated. In real life, the effect is much lesser. So a lot of people, 90% of the time, don't even notice it because it's visible only at minimum brightness, that too on certain backgrounds. So this is not an issue, and in fact if I talk about the display on the OnePlus Nord, it's a 6.4 inch AMOLED display, it's a 90Hz display plus it's HDR certified. So if you see, the display quality is actually really good. It supports wideband L1, you get HD support on Netflix and Amazon Prime, plus Netflix also supports HDR content on the OnePlus Nord, so that is something you don't really see in this price bracket. So when I played some HDR content on Netflix, the quality was damn good. In fact, I found it slightly better than the OnePlus 7T's display. So I've got no complaints. The display quality is good, the colors are great, the blacks are deep, and there is no issue with this display panel. It also comes with a pre-installed screen protector, but it's a really bad quality screen protector. As you can see, within 3 days I've gotten a lot of scratches on the display of this phone. Plus you can also see that here you've got a cutout for the punch hole camera, and the dust gets accumulated on this. I would have preferred if they would have given a constant seamless screen protector instead of this cutout. They don't really affect the front camera quality, so that would have been great, but this screen protector is something that I didn't really like, and I'm just waiting to get a tempered glass for the phone. So now that the display concerns are out, let me talk about the performance. So here also a lot of people were confused whether this is better than a Snapdragon 845, 855 phone. Is it equally good? How does this compare with the Snapdragon 855? So here actually what we're going to do is we're going to talk the performance in two different perspectives. First, we're going to talk about from a day-to-day average user perspective, then we're going to talk about gaming. If I talk about a day-to-day average user, the thing is here, I don't think you'll notice the difference between an 855 and 865 and a 765 when it comes to normal usage. Because I switched to the OnePlus Nord after using the OnePlus 8, 8 Pro and all of those devices, and honestly in day-to-day usage, I did not find the OnePlus Nord any different. If I talk about the memory management, app opening speeds and all of those things, everything was damn good on this phone. I didn't notice any problems in day-to-day usage. You've got Oxygen UI plus a 90Hz display. So everything is buttery smooth, and I've got zero complaints with the performance from the OnePlus Nord. In fact, you might not even notice the day-to-day performance difference when you compare it to a OnePlus 70 or a OnePlus 8. Maybe you'll notice a 1 or 2 second difference when you're opening apps side by side because of the UFS 2.1 3.0 difference. But apart from that, an average user is not gonna find any difference when it comes to the performance. So don't worry about that. But when we talk about gaming, here's where the major difference is. Snapdragon 855 and 865 phones are really good when it comes to gaming, especially PUBG. On the OnePlus Nord, as of now, you can only go up to Smooth Plus Ultra, which is 40 FPS, and that's a bummer because the 855 phones can go to Extreme. But I think the Extreme option is going to come to this phone soon. The Vivo X50 Pro already has it, but even after that, you're not going to get a constant 60 FPS gameplay. All the Snapdragon 855 and 865 phones always are between 50 to 60 FPS, but on the OnePlus Nord, you will notice FPS drops to the 40s when it comes to intense scenarios. So this won't be my first choice for PUBG. It's okay if you're a casual player, but if you're a serious PUBG player, I will not recommend the OnePlus Nord, to be honest. You are better off buying an 855 phone like the Realme X3 or the Realme X2 Pro. So for gaming, it's not good. For day-to-day performance, it's awesome. The OnePlus Nord also ships with 4100 mAh of battery, and the battery life has been great on the OnePlus Nord. I've used this phone for 3 days and I've gotten anywhere between 6.5 to 7.5 hours of screen on time, which is insane. On the OnePlus 70, I used to get around 5.5 to 6 hours of screen on time, and the OnePlus 8 would roughly give me between 6.5 to 7 hours. So this is really good. On the OnePlus Nord, you can get a battery life almost as good as the OnePlus 8. And the thing is, here you've also got warp charging, so you don't have to worry about charging speeds. The battery is going to last you one day. It's not extremely good, but it's not something that I would complain about. I took the phone off the charger at 9-10 a.m. in the morning, and I could go till 11 p.m. 12 a.m. So I don't have a complaint because that is my typical work cycle, and I don't mind putting the phone on the charger at around like 10:30 or 11 p.m. Now finally, let's move on to the cameras of the OnePlus Nord because a lot of you guys are interested in them. So the camera setup on the OnePlus Nord is a little bit similar to the OnePlus 8. You've got the Sony IMX586, which is a 48 megapixel camera. Then you have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and then you have two camera sensors, 2 megapixel sensors, which are the macro sensor and the depth sensor. So basically the ultra wide is not something to write about. It's just an 8 megapixel sensor, not that great. And the primary sensor clicks similar photos to the OnePlus 70. But this is slightly downgraded because it's f1.7, so you'll see performance similar to the OnePlus 8. I took a couple of photos with the Redmi K20 Pro and the OnePlus Nord, and I'm showing them to you on the screen right now so you guys can let me know which photos did you find better. Honestly, I feel K20 Pro will have better cameras because not only does it have the same primary sensor, you also have a good wide angle lens. I think it's a 13 megapixel lens, and you also have a telephoto lens. So that is great because telephoto lens can click some really good portraits. So cameras are not the strongest point on the OnePlus Nord, but you get Google camera support. Then now I'm showing you some samples with Gcam in the stock camera app, and you guys can see that Gcam already has certain improvements in comparison to the stock app. So detailed camera comparison with other phones will be coming to the channel soon. But as of now, I can say that the camera quality is decent. For 80% of the users, it's going to be great. But if you're very nitpicky about the photos that you click from your phone, then there might be other phones with better cameras in this price segment. For me, I think the cameras are adequate, and with Gcam the thing should be good. On the front you get a wide angle camera as well, so that's great. I will test it out and I'll let you know how it performs apart from the primary selfie camera. You also get 4K 60 fps recording on the front facing camera, which is quite weird because the rear facing camera only gets 4K 30. But I think OnePlus might enable 4K 60 with an update, I don't know, but as of now you can click 4K 60 fps videos with the front facing camera. So all the camera samples, video samples we'll cover in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. If we talk about some other things, the OnePlus Nord gets the in-display fingerprint sensor like the OnePlus 70 and the OnePlus 8, and the speed is almost same. I did not notice any difference. It's very fast, it's very quick, and it's much better than the ultrasonic sensors that you get on the flagship Samsung phones. So this optical sensor is very good, no complaints with it. And if I talk about the user interface, it's your typical Oxygen UI that you've seen on the flagship OnePlus phones. No changes here. The only change that I saw was that you get the Google Dialer app and the Google Messages app instead of the OnePlus's app. I don't know why they stuck to this, but here if you record the call, the other person will get a notification about it. So I just thought I'd let you know about that. And apart from that, the software experience is same. You get the same gestures, same shortcuts, same added features, same themes that you get on the OnePlus 8 and the 70. So there is no difference there. Oxygen UI has been really good. It gets updates very quickly, and that's going to be one of the strongest selling points of the OnePlus Nord. You also get the gaming mode here along with the screen recorder, and there is also Fanatic mode, which a lot of people were asking me about. The OnePlus Nord also supports carrier aggregation. As you can see, it shows 4G plus here, and you can see that it does have support for that. Some people had doubts about it also, so I thought I'd clear it out. And then finally, a lot of people were also asking me about what phone would you pick between the OnePlus Nord and the OnePlus 70. See, the answer is clear. The OnePlus 70 is a much better phone than the OnePlus Nord. Not only do you get everything that the OnePlus Nord offers, apart from that you also get the Snapdragon 855 Plus, and you also get the telephoto camera and a better wide angle and a better macro camera. So all of these things are much better on the OnePlus 70. So if you have to pick between the 70 and the Nord, close your eyes and go with the OnePlus 70 because that phone offers a lot more for the money. And if we talk about the comparison between the Redmi K20 Pro and the OnePlus Nord, well, that depends. If we talk from a straight value for money perspective, then definitely Redmi K20 Pro offers a lot more for the money. That phone has a bezel-less display, pop-up camera. You also get telephoto lens, better wide-angle lens. So and the pricing is also lesser when Xiaomi has some of the discounts on those phones. But then the thing is, the major disadvantage of Xiaomi right now is MIUI and all the bloatware and the privacy concerns that comes with it. They are fixing it now, but still MIUI will never be as good as Oxygen OS. And that is the major selling point of the OnePlus Nord. The thing is, now OnePlus is perceived as a premium brand. Plus, OnePlus has been so good with the updates with Oxygen OS, and they've built that reputation and that trust that people wouldn't mind spending 3,000-4,000 more and getting the OnePlus Nord. And I think this is why the OnePlus Nord is going to be a best seller, not because of the hardware, because this is not something extraordinary that you're seeing in a phone. If Xiaomi were to make this phone, they couldn't have priced it above 22,000 rupees. But where OnePlus is winning is with their brand value, trust, and the software experience and the user experience that they've given to users in their flagship phones. They're bringing that to a mid-range phone, and that is why I think the OnePlus Nord is gonna sell like hotcakes. I've been enjoying using the OnePlus Nord. I really love the user experience. I don't feel it's a downgrade in terms of day-to-day usage. I like the form factor of this phone. It's perfect. It's not too bulky. It's not too tiny. It's great. The only thing that I'm concerned about is the cameras, but then I'll be bringing a lot of test videos and comparison videos very soon, so that you guys can get a clear idea about how the cameras perform, how is the performance, how does it perform in PUBG. So all of those doubts will be cleared then. As of now, these were my first impressions about the OnePlus Nord. If you guys have any more questions, then please ask me in the comments. I hope that I've replied to most of the questions that you had. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then hit the like button. If you guys did not like it, press the dislike button twice. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Instagram, and specifically my Twitter handle, because there I post a lot of behind the scenes content. So something that I might miss out in the videos, I will be covering there. So go follow me there. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will be back in the notifications very soon. Peace.